Drumheads, how you doing today?
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Drum School. We've got a big fish for you tonight. Okay, but it's catch and release though, because we're going to have to let them go after about maybe an hour. But Jason, give us the clues. Who is it?
So this lad here has won the 2023 World Solo Snare Drumming Champion.
Yep.
He recently just come out with his solo snare drumming championship for the hornpipe and jig.
Yep.
And you'll know him for having led People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia to the 2023 World Pipe Band Championships. He is, of course,
Mr. Kerr McQuillan.
Let's have him on.
Get him on. Hey!
Big Kerr McQuillan.
Here, I'm loving the backdrop, Kerr. I'm liking that a lot.
You liking that? Good stuff.
It's looking really professional.
Well, the merch as well.
Exactly.
And by the way, I do like the merch. That's a different question. Congratulations, anyway, on your solo performance about a couple of weeks ago. Right? Yeah. Superb. Well, hopefully we just maybe get, I think maximum about 45 to an hour.
Cool.
No worries, all right with that?
Aye,
all
whatever
right, so I've got a question for you straight off the traps, right?
Go for it.
So obviously, I watched your performances at the solos, right? Superb.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. One of the things I was going to say to you is, which size of feet are you?
9, 8 or 9.
Because honestly, right, you have got a great anchor on that platform.
Aye.
Right? So I know this, and I know this sounds mental, right? I'm like, actually, you watch everybody coming on, right? As you do, right? You're sitting there going, check him out, blah, 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 right? And I'm watching you and I'm going, right, obviously a confident performance, right? And everybody's got different mannerisms as a performer, right? Because it's a performance, right? It's a performance you're doing. And I'm like to myself, right? One is, I don't know why, but I always notice your brogues, right? Because you look dead anchored, but relaxed. And I'm going to ask you this question, right? This is Nate off. Have you kind of perfected that? Or do you think that's as genuine, like kind of as natural as you can be? Because that is a natural thing. I'm not saying it's unnatural.
No, it is natural, but one thing that I focus on all the time is stage presence. It's what I practice in the house.
Right, okay, yeah, aye.
Yeah.
So you got it. This is essential. This is an essential thing.
For me, yes. Because when you're looking at a competition from an audience point of view, you're not being like that. You need to see the guy.
Yeah.
So it's got to look like the person's confident. To me, it still does come across quite relaxed, but it is rehearsed. So, like, for example, I'll go in and practice in front of a mirror all the time. Think about, how do I walk onto the stage? How can I look confident? How can I look assured in front of everyone? So it's a conscious thing.
No, it's noticed, as in it's notable, right? So what I mean? So it makes you gregarious, if that's the right sense of the word. Do you know what I mean? So it makes you larger than life, but not in a bad way. But you know what I mean? It's like, this guy's got something about him.
It's important. It's an important element as well. Like, you're not selfish here. You're thinking about the audience. You're getting out there and thinking about how I'm going to put the show on.
You're doing this a love.
Good on you. Hey, but just talking about that, like, is there a limit there for you? Like, can you rock and roll too much? Have you got to keep it composed a little bit just to keep the nerves down or something?
I think there's a limit for sure. At the end of the day, it all has to be natural. It has to be comfortable for people to look at. I think there is a limit there. But I mean, the reason behind that side of things is, when I was going into the adult solos, that adult final for the very first time, I was only 18. My first year was last year, and I managed to win in my first year. And I asked myself, what can I do differently to everyone else? And I thought, well, if I can excite the audience and get the audience on side here, then that's going to do something different from what the rest of the guys have done in the past. So it was totally conscious.
Very clever.
So I mean, see how you're talking about that and about being conscious about it, right? So I'm going to skip over this because Alexander the Great done masses of things before he was like a kind of older guy, right? So we'd all agree you're quite a young guy, right?
Yeah.
So I just
want to clarify here. You are 19, Kerr.
What age am I? No, I'm 20. I'm 20 now.
20. At time of writing now, 20 years old.
I was going to say, did you think you were a bouncer at a nightclub or something like that? But what age are you? You're like, my date of birth was 24 for 9.
No, I'm 20. 20 as we speak, yeah.
Nice one.
So here's what I was going to say, right? So see how that you are a young guy, right? And you've achieved a considerable amount that a lot of people would kind of cut their arms off for, right?
Mm.
I'm going to ask you this. Is that like being at the bottom of the water, right? And then surfacing and the pressure being off that you've achieved that? Or is it kind of the opposite that where you've achieved that level and you feel everybody's on my back now? A bit like, I suppose, like a band doing an album, and it's like, oh, the first album was great. No, what about the second album? What about the third album? Do you know what I mean? Do you feel almost pressurised now that you've surfaced, or do you feel kind of, you know what, wrap it, I've done this?
No, there's more pressure than ever, especially this year. It's been brutal. It's been a mental game. A lot of pressure. I mean, you hear a lot of people talking about things about me that I don't even know about myself. It's like a lot of people start talking and start saying certain things. And yeah, a lot of pressure. And it's very much a mental game. You're trying to stick to what you know you're good at, but also trying to improve at the same time and just try to stay at the top. It's a mental game for sure.
So you're not even thinking too much about what you're playing so much anymore, are you? You're like, how am I going to come out here? How am I going to stick to what I've been doing and just relax and that kind of thing?
Big time. Yeah, it's like when you reach a certain level, when you reach the grade 1 level, if you like, you can play every rudiment inside out, or you certainly should be able to do that. And then the next level is trying to separate from the majority of people. And for me, that's been done through the musical presentation, the scores as well. The scores is such a song, and trying to make them different from other people and trying to have my own voice, my own style. So I'm not necessarily always thinking about exactly what I'm playing. I'm thinking about how does that come across to the audience? How does that come across to the adjudicators in front of me? Rather than what I'm actually playing, because all the work's been done before a competition. Like you're rehearsing all the time. You're putting all the work into your 2-bar phrasing, playing with the pipe or your integration, all that side of things. So you've done a lot of thinking. So on the day of a competition, it's just go and relax and enjoy it because you've done all the work before it.
Nice. Yeah.
See how you mentioned composition there, Kerr, right? Mm. I'm going to ask you a question. When did you realise, or when did you kind of have the savvy to understand that, see your compositions that you've wrote, right? Because I mean, even me with Rotten Horns, right? Maybe try to scratch something down a bit of paper and think I'm back or something like that, right? But by and large, right? See, when you first wrote a score down, and when did you think, you know what, that's actually standalone? I actually think, do you know what I mean? I'd be kind of happy to show that, to play that. When do you know what I mean? When did you mentally go, do you know what, that is big boy Clays. I'm wearing that.
That's quality.
It's see when I took over as leading drummer at Boghall, there was that expectation that you have to hit the ground running with your compositions.
Yeah.
So the very first score that I wrote for the band was, what was it again? It was a 2/4 march called John McFadden, and we still currently play that today. What I tried to do is take what the previous leading drummer Gordon Brown had done and merge that into my own, and then try and take it on further. So I knew, because I was taking a lot from him, that it was good stuff that was in there. And then by putting my own spin in it, what I then did, I would send it to a couple of people. I would send it to people and see what their initial reaction was. And then at that point, you just need to go for it, and you just need to trust that what you've done is right. And I've been lucky enough that the majority of the scores that I've wrote have come out pretty well. And it's something I enjoy doing. I love it. Like tonight, all I've been doing tonight before coming on this was writing new drum scores for the band. I love doing it.
Wow. Can I ask?
Where you go?
Sorry. I just on that. Like, how long have you been writing scores? When did you actually start putting pen to paper? And
probably when I was about 14, I started.
Wow.
Yeah, not necessarily seriously doing it, but more doing it for the enjoyment. Just because I could do it, and I could be quite expressive and free. And from that point, I was taking influences from a lot of different people. All the different leading drummers, your Stephen Crichton, your Stephen McWhirters, Gordon Brown, Ross and Jim Kilpatrick, all these amazing players, just taking loads of inspiration from them all and then trying to merge it into one. And then I think from that, I've now been able to find my own voice.
And do you think that once you've done something, right? So you've done a 2-4 march, say for instance, in your lab, right? I extracted what Gordon's done for that, and then I've put a twist on it. I've put what I think maybe should be there, or where I'd like that to be emphasised, or whatever, right? Is there any that you go at? You don't need to mention them, but I mean, is there anything that sometimes you go, do you know what? I think I'll go back to that one. I think I'll maybe revise that, or do you know what I mean? Or is it once it's done for you, you just go, do you know what? That's it. It's done.
No, you always do come back to it. Naturally, you'll think when you write something that that's good, that's it. Then you go to play it the next day or a few weeks later, or with the pipe or with the band, and then you're like, right, I'm going to change that wee bit, and you do revise certain things. It's kind of an ongoing process, really.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So you're obviously involved with Boghall Pipe Band, and they've got obviously junior players, etc. Do you get involved? Do you get hands on with that, or is that kind of farmed out and then overseen by yourself? Or do you know what I mean? How much instructional time do you do? Do you know what I mean? With other guys in the band that are the younger guys, for instance.
Well, it's the juvenile system's very much at the heart of the band. And I came through that system as well, so it's something I'm really passionate about. So I oversee it and then delegate to a lot of the different guys within the band. We are lucky that 70% of our band actually came through our youth system. So we all know what it's about, and we all know the foundation what we're brought up on. So it's kind of easy just to say to the guys, right, you're taking charge of that band this year. I want you to do a one-to-one with this guy. I need you to work with that group. But I write the syllabus for everything, and then those guys just teach it.
It's funny you said that, right? Because we've mentioned this in the show before, right? Where a good few years ago, right, it was quite a kind of expectant thing where you had a band, right, and you had the big band, and then you had the wee band.
Mm-hmm.
But that is, to an extent, somewhat kind of diminished. Mm-hmm. You've seen it, like, do you know what I mean? Like a lot of bands that would normally have like a wee kind of novice juvenile band, and then, you know, they'd have a big band, and then they'd drive through, which the system you've got now. And in a weird sort of way, I was thinking, well, that could maybe possibly be to do with the fact that it seems like pipe band instruction is far more spread into the school system. So do you know what I mean? So you get more schools instructors doing that in a weird sort of way. Although that's fantastic, it kind of diminishes the strength of the original band, where you don't have the same loyalty. Do you know what I mean? No.
It does, and we've found that problem especially. So COVID hit our band quite hard in our junior system because a lot of the people aged out, so you can only play up to 18 in the juvenile band. So we lost a lot of players because they weren't ready for grade 1. They'd missed a few years of instruction. So we basically had to start from scratch, and recruiting people into the band in that junior system has been quite difficult. Luckily, we're starting to build it again, which is great. I mean, I also work in a school. I work with a high school of Glasgow pipe band. We're going to be out competing this year as well. So I can see both sides to it. The benefit of the community-based thing is if you get kids in from a young age and they see the grade 1 band, they're like, I want to be in that band. I want to be there one day. And they'll stick it out. The difference with the school thing is a lot of kids do it in school just to pass an exam or just to get through their music. It's not always about getting to that top level or trying to push on.
Yeah.
But you do have a lot of contact time in terms of one-to-one tuition within the schools, which is great. The school that I'm in, there's a really, really good setup within the pipe band. So the facilities are there for it. We just need to try and bridge the gap between school into a top level band, which you naturally have with the community-based bands.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing that with is it the high school of Glasgow you go to?
Yeah, I've been in there past a year and a bit.
All right, fantastic. And so how many kind of people or how many pupils do you have dealings with on a kind of, you know what I mean, like a kind of daily basis? Is it daily or is it like twice a week type thing? How's that split?
Yeah. So I'm in there a few days a week, and it's made up of about 5 to 6 one-to-one lessons per day, and then 2 band practices per week. So you'll get the students in for about a 35-minute lesson a day, and then the band practices are after school. That's the kind of way that we structure it. You'll get your lesson, you'll get feedback, you'll have to work on that in the house, come back, get ready for the band practices. So it's very structured and it's really, really good. It's a great way of doing things for sure.
I take it you need to be right? Here's a question, right? So, see when you're dealing with kids, right? You're dealing with adults that own the kids, right? I take it you need to be a kind of diplomat. I mean, how difficult can it be, or is it quite easy ozy? Are they quite? Do you know what I mean? It's like, when you're at junior football and you've got like kind of Waynes that are playing, and their dad's like, "Oh, you should be on the wing. Why? You know what I mean? Why are you playing him there, etc." You know what I mean? We've all been there. So, is it something you have to contend with a lot, or is it quite easy?
I'm lucky in the fact that the parents are quite easygoing. However, you will get the odd situation where they ask, like, why is my son or daughter not in the pipe band yet? Why are they not good enough to be in there? So you have to deal with that side of things, which is all about being a diplomat and thinking what's best for the band, what's best for that kid, what's best for the parent. You have to be really balanced about it all. The contrary to that is when I go to the Boghall practices and you're dealing with grown men, you can say whatever you like within reason. It's a totally different world.
I was going to ask you that, right? Because whilst we're talking about a different world, right? Laird, you're dropped, right? Right? You know what I'm saying?
Used to hearing that one.
Is it just don't turn up on Saturday, or is it on Saturday? Listen, I've told you kind of square that away and just go and get a coffee.
No, I always deal with that beforehand. The reason for that is you want the guys that are playing to be totally settled within the drum corps. So if ever you're standing next to, you want to know, right, he's playing at the weekend out, I need to lock in with him. So anytime we've had to drop someone, it's always been done beforehand. And it's kind of like I always have a chat with the guys at the start of the year about what they should be aiming to do throughout the season. Are you going to be playing? What's the aspirations? So I think everyone's kind of clear. As long as everyone knows where they stand, then you'll have no problems. The problem comes where you promise someone and then you let them down. That you can't really do that. It's all about managing situations, and I've certainly learned a lot about that. My dad works in that side of things. He's in people management. That's his professional job. So I've been lucky enough to gain a lot of tips for him, which has been massively beneficial for me taking that role on.
I was going to say something, right? And we were talking about it before you came on, because obviously, we know that guy, Alistair Park, right? So, right. So we're obviously like that. What's he like? What's he talking about? What's his part? Right? Obviously, right, before you come on. And he says, but he normally makes his invite to the competition, right? And I was like that to Jason. I says, that's actually not a bad idea, because, right, this is my outlook, right? I says, well, maybe, and he goes, well, maybe it's just convenience. And I went, it's convenience, but it's also one of the things where you get to let the kind of workers chunter and moan without being over the top of them, right?
Yeah.
So like there's this kind of army thing, right, where in the eating facility or in the cookhouse, right, the reason it's kind of segregated is to allow people, when they're eating their dinner, right, they can moan about their management, and their management isn't there, right? So it doesn't matter. They can still turn up with an A game type thing, but obviously that would maybe cloud management's outlook on the lower guy type thing, not the lower guy, but you know what I mean, the actual kind of cold face guy. So I was like that. Actually, that's actually not a bad idea if you can do it, because it gives breathing space to the guys. And then when you turn up, obviously it's like kind of, that crossing the Rubicon thing where you go, right, we're in business now. Let's do it, as opposed to kind of having a laugh with somebody and then having to go, aye, right, I had a laugh with you, but you're rats. So, do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't want to be your pal right now. I want you to actually do something.
It's game time, yeah.
It's a great point, and it's something that I've thought about a lot. And you probably ask a lot of people, they would say about me that I'm quite distant from a social point of view with them. Not distant, it's maybe not the right word, but I don't try and over-involve myself in a lot of social situations in the band, because if you naturally, you're going to get close to some people. That's just what happens in life. You gravitate towards certain people, and then other folk can just be like, oh, well, he's favouring that one. And you can't have that management.
I know. It's like, you know what I mean? Oh, he's playing him. That's his pal.
Yeah,
he was rats. I heard him. 100%, man. I like it. I'm actually that. I get that. I totally get that. I think that's That is leadership. You've got to know when to kind of say, like, I'm the boss. I'm not your pal. We're here
I mean,
together.
that's it. You see these people. I see these people 2 nights a week for practice. So it's a lot of intense time. And when you're in those practices, they are intense, and you are trying to strive for greatness essentially all the time. So you're putting a lot of demands on people, and you're dealing with them all the time. Whether that's at competition practices, doing gigs, you're seeing these people all the time. So if you try and over involve yourself in these social circles, it's only going to lead to more problems. And it's something the pipe major of the band and pipe sergeant of the band, we're all very aligned within that. Is we've got to let the guys have a good time and let them do their thing, let them have their breathing space, let them enjoy themselves, and we'll take the tough and hard decisions.
Superb, happy with that. Obviously with success, right? And obviously I like you wearing your merch, right?
I've just been admiring that merch, by the way. That is a quality
yeah.
design.
Listen, everybody even we've got merch, right? We've got on social media, but we've got merch, right? So, no, what I was going to say is, I know you're involved with, like, so for instance, Flam 5, I've seen you kind of doing things with them. I've seen you doing things like obviously playing Dante drums, and I would imagine they want to be tied with you and all the such and such. And I see you've got obviously your merch on the now. Here's the thing, right? We were talking about this with Stevie Crichton, and we've mentioned this before, right? See if I won, I don't know, a gala day competition, right, in first place, Andy Laird's, in this gala of 30 guys, right? 2 of them only being drummers. And I won that, right? I'd be bringing out my drumstick. I'd be like, this is the Andy Laird one, by the way, right? Everybody needs to buy this now because it's great. And I said to Stevie McQuillan, that sort of thing. I said, no, Stevie McQuillan. Aye, I said to Stevie Crichton, sorry, I said, look, I totally get that. I says, after, plying your trade, as it were, you want to identify as something that's going to be your thing, and it's going to be, to an extent, return your hard effort or your hard work. So basically, what I'm asking you is, are you thinking about drumsticks, or are you thinking about anything like that?
Definitely, yeah. I think drumsticks is a hard one because there's so many different sticks out there. And I've got sticks that I love playing. For example, the Paul Turner stick is one that I love playing. We play them a lot in the band. I play them in the solos. Gordon Brown stick, I grew up with that stick. So, those 2 sticks in particular is what I love playing. It's like, why would I want to bring something out that might not be good enough yet to be better than those sticks, in my opinion? And I'm not at that stage yet, but that's something that definitely will come naturally. Of course, it's something cool. Every drummer wants their own stick.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
It will happen. But right now, I just enjoy the sticks that we've got, and there's not a need for it at the moment. I'm focusing on some other products at the moment that don't actually exist at all. So you've your conventional, your sticks, your pads, and all these other things, but I'm actually working on some stuff that's not out there at all, and trying to take drumming and pipe bands into a market we're so confined in pipe bands at the moment. We need to think broad. And that's something that I really want to do, tap into other markets, look at the American side, the drumming, the Swiss, all these different elements. I want to tap into those markets and try and work together and see where we can take things.
This brings me into something that we've been talking about on the show, sort of about the pipe band culture, right? And standing where you are right now in your life, what you've achieved, like, where is pipe band culture right now? Is it growing? Has it stagnated? Is it going to new places? From where you are.
It's a great point. And if in most other walk of life, if you're a teenager and you win you're the best drummer in the world, for example, you win the World Pipe Band Championships, you're going to get a lot of return for that. But in pipe bands, there's nothing really. And this is something for me, and I think a lot of people are, I don't know if the word is bitter about, but we want to try and strive for more. We definitely.
Listen, Kurt, there's a lot of better people out there, trust me. And they're two-faced as well. They're like, oh no, I love you. I love your stuff. Did you see him? It's full of them, man. But what I was going to say is we've spoken about this in the show before, right? I'm actually hearing you what you're saying, right? And I think that any kind of half musical person, right? I'm putting myself down as a half musical guy, right? Anybody that's kind of half interested in music, and anybody that's been involved in pipe bands, is a very small pond, right? And we've always kind of crowed. Well, I've always crowed on it. You know, when you watch Baghall bands, right, and the ensemble that they throw at their sound, and you watch what they're capable of producing, to an extent, it dwarfs the pipe band kind of model. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that we're going to have 5 various sized bass drums and etc. etc. But what I'm saying is that they've got like kind of almost this, and percussionally, almost like a kind of orchestrally kind of percussional kind of direction. And then we're kind of really kind of narrowly pigeoned into, right, a few snide drummers, a few snare drummers, right? They are snide drummers, by the way, right? A few snare drummers, your tenors and your bass. You know what I mean? So I think that to an extent, I understand where people are wanting to kind of make some sort of expansion. Or so we spoke about tenor drumming, and we're looking at, you know, the American type rototoms and what they bring and why and how you can have one person delivering different voices. Feel like maybe an array of drums, which is giving you kind of a bigger range. Do you know what I mean? So is that what you're on about, or are you on about just kind of locking in with key drum personalities, or are you thinking maybe I'm going to take pipe band drumming in a different
direction? I think we have to remember what we're so good at as well, and playing drums is amazing, and the tradition's phenomenal, so we can never lose that. We just need to enhance it. You mentioned tenor drums there. That's the one thing that I think is the most underdeveloped at the moment. It's came on along, but if you think of bagpipes and snare drum, they're kind of refined in their own ways right now. Tenor drumming could go a lot more, and I'm lucky enough to be working with a bass section in the band that's really, really good, quite young, and a lot of creative ideas. So my next step, certainly when arranging medleys and things like that for the band, is to utilise the bass section as much as I can. Thinking about playing certain drum patterns that no one else is doing. From a visual point of view, with the flourishes that they're doing, how can they match the music? How can they tell a story? Because they're the only visual part of the band. And, snare drums and pipe, we stand in a circle, we stand still. The only visual aspect is the bass section. So how can we utilise that to tell a story? That's my next thing, I think.
You were a juvenile tenor drummer champion. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Was it world? Or was
yes.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's a champion, isn't it? So my point is, right. So here's that kind of schisms after this question as well, right? So you've alluded to it, you kind of half explained it. So see, when you have got your tenor and bass section, right? Now, I know that some drummers, obviously, the music, the actual notes, they're obviously the guardian of, and they say, right, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, da, 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 right? And then you're saying about the flourishing. Are you the sole point of contact on how you want the tenors to work? Or do you give them, this is what we want, but you can, like, you know what I mean? I just found this out, by the way, and you can help me. Is that the monkey? Because I was talking to Kerr McQuillan about this. We mentioned this in the last show, and there was one like this. It's like riding the pony, and he says it's like a kangaroo. I mean, like that. So, one, you could make up new names that might be better, right? That's one. That's one way foot forward. But do you see what my question is?
No, I write all the bass section scores and split them all in terms of notes. However, there's a person in charge, Jill Watson. She's in charge of the tenor drums. She does all the flourishes. Although what I'll do is I'll go to her and say, right, for this bar, I need something like this. For this part, I need something like that. She'll then go away, work her magic, do her thing, and then come back to me. And then what will happen is she'll send me a video of everything that she's got. I'll then say, change that, whatever. Nice. So it kind of works both ways. I've wrote the snare drum composition, so it kind of makes sense that I do the tenor because they're both linked. But then within that, the leader of the bass section's got a bit of scope there to go and be creative. So it's kind of working together with her to make the full thing work.
Whilst we're talking about bass and tenor, right? So
Yep.
obviously, when you successful as a wee tenor drummer guy, right? Do you do the kit?
A little bit, not much.
Do you have one? Do you have
No,
access to one?
I used to, but not anymore.
Right, because you know that's the sum total of how this show started, right? Because like he's a kit drummer, right? Who's in
Right.
a kind of, I'm going to say an average drum corps, right? So let me Galladay drum corps. That'd be
Right.
a good assessment. A Galladay drum
A
corps.
drum corps, a drum corps.
And I masquerade as a pipe band drummer, right? And I'm like, but as a pipe band drummer, right? I'm thinking to myself, listen, that drum kit, that can't be that hard, man. Do you know what I mean? It's quite easy, but I find it difficult. And when you speak to most drummers, right, they all think I could tober that, but because you obviously the quads that you're using, 2 hands, 2 feet, it's got its own challenges. And I'm just thinking, how much do you? I mean, you say you do it a wee bit, but is it a wee bit like, I don't know, do you know what I mean? Like fat people go running, or is it like a wee bit as in it's quite good? Do you know what I mean?
I'm 5 out of 10.
That's not bad. That's a quality line.
You can have a
You
jam.
might take that.
5 out of 10.
I reckon your 5 out of 10 is just not even on the scale of what.
I mean,
You've got, but what's this 10 and what's the 1 kind of thing?
Yeah.
People will be asking about, what does he mean by that? You know what I mean?
I came to pipe banding for the rolls, you know what I mean? That was like the thing that got me into. I was like, you hear pipe band rolls, and you're like, oh, drum kit drummers can't do that. They can't do that. And so I'm trying to squeeze them both in. And if you try and take your time away from snare drumming to go and do drum kit, you find yourself just massively losing out on something else, like any of your snare aspects.
2 3-pace rolls, Kerr. 2 3-pace rolls. Right to right, right to left. Talk to me.
Right to right. However, a lot of people ask me about my 2 rolls because some people count it in triplet form. Digga. Right now, that's the way I would teach it to kids because that's the easiest way, and everyone can end up doing that. However, I don't know how I count mine, but I managed to cram in a lot more buzzes than what there's meant to be, essentially, by the book. But the reason I do that is because it makes the roll seem more full and more impressive in my eyes. That's my opinion. But it is still right to right. I couldn't tell you how many buzzes I play, but it's more than what the conventional way would be.
Because, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting I'm obviously watching all the top guys playing. Some are playing right to left, some are playing right to right. And I get it, right? I do get it. But I'm just like, wonder what their thoughts is in the right to left. And it's just one of the questions. I mean, it's no wrong. I don't think there isn't a wrong. It's still three beats to that roll.
It's all style. Like, I remember Jim Kilpatrick was the famous one who ended up doing right to left. And his reason for doing it was, again, to make it a bit more full. The same as me. There was a few guys in there, that adult final, the recent one that did right to left, right to right. It's all style and interpretation. So for me, there's definitely not a right or wrong. It's just what feels right. But the decision I made was to try and make mine a bit more full, a bit more closed, to try and be a little bit more impressive instead of just going in and being like bog standard, fine 2 rolls. That's fine. A lot of people can do that. That's one of the first things you get taught. Anyone can do that. But then how can you make it more, I don't know if the word's impressive, but that wee bit different. But still keeping within those 3 beats, obviously.
Even just trying to make it unique to your band, like give your band a unique sound in its rolls.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing we talk about. We've just started back at band practice, and the first thing I do at the first band practice is tell everyone, here's how we're going to roll. Because the first thing the judge hears, for any new players, here's how we do it. And one thing that I'm really big on is having a really big wall of sound, because you want to be attractive to listen to. When you get those 2 3-pace rolls, you want to hear a nice crisp snare sound, but it's got to be punchy, and it's got to be that bit in your face to say, right, we're here to do a job. So it's the introduction rolls. It's a massive thing. I hear a lot of cores in lower grades, and they're not thinking about the basic of 2 intro rolls, and it's such an easy thing to master. Whereas you listen to the guys in grade 1, everyone is very, very on it with their introduction roles. You don't hear a grade one with bad introduction roles. It doesn't happen, and I think it's definitely something that a lot of lower grade bands should focus on. It's the first thing adjudicator hears. You don't want the first thing to write in the sheet be negative. If you can get a positive comment about your 2 introduction roles, then you're on to a good start.
I've got a question for you, right? You're talking about lesser bands, right? Let's not hang about here. We all know what we're talking about. But what I was going to say to you is are we going to go into a Super League type idea? Do you think that's worthwhile thinking about? Where we have like a maybe a kind of like a kind of, you know what I mean? Like you've got a kind of Super League where you've got like your top 10, right? In grade one. They're in that Super League. And then you've got your grade one in your grade two. Where we kind of all, everybody knows it's watching bands, and it's difficult. It's difficult once, I suppose, you try to transgress if you go into, transition if you go on from grade two into grade one, and then try to keep your head above the water. And it's, do you know what I mean? It's like that kind of discrepancy. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think that's some worthwhile discussing or nah?
No, I think it is. I tell you, one thing I would like to see is to adopt more of the football model where there's an automatic promotion and relegation, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
So I've always had this kind of idea where you have your grade one and you look at the champion of champions table at the end of the year, see where everyone's at, and then just take your bottom 2 or 3, whatever it may be, and then your top 2 or 3 from grade 2, make them do a playoff at an extra competition after the Worlds.
Oh, yes.
And see who comes out in top. Because you might have 3 grade 1 bands in top, then they've earned the right to stay. Or did the grade 2 bands come in and take it? That's what I'd like to see.
That's exciting.
Like that.
That's exciting. I'm getting geared up just hearing about that.
Then we could maybe get pipe band casuals. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Let's not just stop right there. Let's get that. If they playoffs, it could be like casual action. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like, let's get this buzzing.
Massive signing this year.
Exciting, and you'd attract a lot of people, and gate money, getting people through the gate. It would be brilliant, and that's where we need to think about. Right now, we're struggling to secure venues for major championships and things like that. But it's all down to funding. But if we can come up with incentives to try and get people coming to these competitions and try and further the pipe band market, then let's do it.
You'd be down at Murrayfield
in no time.
Exactly right. So let's talk drums and roses. Right. So I think So you know I'm rats on social media. Everybody knows this, right? I don't even know what I bother for, right? But obviously, I seen yourself, Craig Laurie, doing a gig not that long ago, I think. Or no, unless you've done something that was old and you just look, I just stick that up, Craig. That'll work. But I mean, what we're doing, nothing, just stick that up. But I was going to ask you a question, right? So obviously, really, we've only had one piper on, haven't we? Ali Park. He bored us to death. But you're a piper yourself, as demonstrated on the social media. Obviously, that's a massive help, right? When you're composing, because obviously you're like that, right? They've got to do this, and that then gives that gap there. How long have you been piping for?
So my mum was a piper. That's where this all kind of started. So basically, from when I was 1-2 year old, the chanter would be in the house, and then she would just kind of teach me the basics, and then from there I've taught myself how to play the pipes. But you're right, it's a massive help. So whenever the pipe major sends me, right, here's what we're going to play, I'll always learn it in the pipes first before writing the drum score. So I'll always learn it in the pipes, understand exactly what's going on, and then the drum score from there is easy because you know exactly what's in the tune, you know exactly what embellishments the pipers are playing, you know exactly what key it's all in, what you need to do. It's been a massive help. And then even from a gigging point of view, you mentioned drums and roses, it's allowed me to go out and do gigs with different bands and further that side of things. So it's been a massive help for me.
Right, so I don't know if that was actually inspirational or devastational.
Yeah.
I suppose both in the one breath on it. It's like, that's amazing. Oh no, I'm really rats now.
Yeah, I'm like,
I can't even play the chanter.
Now I've got to pick up the
can't even play to be honest, can't even play the drums, you know what I mean? But anyway, so I'm going to, Ali Park, right? Just a quick one, right? So he's a piper, but he's like a part-time supporter, so we gave him a bit of a kind of a shangrin because he ended up joining the band on the crest of the wave. Where is he now? He's not in the band now, isn't he? No.
I've no idea. I've not spoke to him.
I
Yeah.
was like,
Rightly so.
I was disgusted with him. I says, that's terrible. That I says, you just turned the line. Aye, on the crest of the wave. Then, all right, catches. I've got my medal now. Bye.
Took all the credit as well.
Quite right, by the way. No, I don't. I don't know. I've not spoke to him since the Worlds. To be fair, after we did that pre-Worlds concert, the band had taken a big break because there was a lot of work last year. It was absolutely mental. With all the championships, trying to retain the Worlds and all that sort of stuff whilst doing the concert, it was mental. So I've not spoke to Ali since the Worlds. So who knows where he is or what he's doing? But I guess we'll find it soon.
He was meant to get me. He was meant to get me tickets for that concert. He never delivered. So
Well,
I never get gone. So I was raging, and I was like, patch
You missed
them,
it.
mate. I know I did because everybody was talking about it, mate. It was the buzz in the street.
It was we tried to design that concert again in a way that no one else has done it before. So you got a lot of pipe band concerts and you hear MSRs, hornpipe and jigs and all that sort of stuff. That's great. But you're on that stage for an hour and a half. So you're going to need to try and keep the audience there. So we tried to do things with the lighting, which was totally different. So myself and Chris Coates worked really closely with the lighting and how the lighting could match in with the drum scores, like flashing at the same time as some of the accents and things like that. From a composition point of view, it was all about an outside-in perspective. How can the audience engage with this? How can we keep them there? And it seemed to go down really well. But we're recorded an album, so you'll be able to hear it. That will be out in March, I think. That's coming out. So no, that was a cracking concert. A lot of work. We don't want to do that for another good few years because it was a lot, but really enjoyable. It was honestly, after the concert was like winning the Worlds all over again. The euphoria after it was like, wow, it was a special moment.
Nice. It definitely hit the notes, as in, it was well received by the people that went, and it was, I mean, it was definitely, that way when, I'm not going to mention any MD or anything, but some of these concerts get put on, like you said, there are a couple of MSRs, a couple of hornpipes, they're well done by. You want something that's going to be kind of, it's going to be a show, isn't it? I mean, I know that sounds a bit etherical, but you've got to have something that kind of, it is a show. It's got to be a show. It's got to be somebody go, that was really good. That's taking my thought about pipe band's capability out the box, not just they were a good band. You know what I mean?
So when you're talking about like, sorry to interrupt. When you're talking about like for the audience, and I think just doing a live album is just as important for an audience, because I'm over here in Australia and you guys are talking about this concert, which I never got to see. And I want to be sitting here in my car listening to that, and yeah, you take it around the world. That's just what pipe bands need around the world.
I think that's the hope of it, is that we do the album, it goes out to whoever it goes to, whoever purchases it, and then you can take these things on the road as well. And there's been bands that have done concerts in different countries. That's something we're thinking of.
You're hinting about coming to Australia. Is that what you're saying right now?
Oh, Australia's my favourite country, so absolutely.
Oh, get down here, mate.
No, on the 24th of November, they're no care because they're going to get whipped. Okay? Scotland, Australia at the rugby.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking
your free team. Thanks.
No, it's fair enough. But I mean, the concert, it went down so well, and it's just about it's a show. How can we do something different? In the competition, it's all about playing your MSRs and your medleys really well, focusing on the playing aspect. Whereas the concert, there was mistakes, there was people that did certain things, but nobody cares. You go to a concert, enjoy it. You go and listen to Ed Sheeran, you don't think about adjudicating him when you go to listen to him.
Yeah, that's it.
But sometimes at a pipe band concert, there's a lot of people that will go there and think, oh, this bit and that bit. And we're like, well, we want to get away from that. So let's do something a little bit different and give people a new idea. But you don't want to ever take away from the tradition and where you've come from, especially in the integrity of what we do. So when I'm writing the drum score compositions, it all comes from the past and then trying to move it. You can't just do something for the sake of it. It needs to be in reason and from the tradition where we've come from. And that's something with the concert we massively thought about.
I was going to say reference the album, right? So as a young guy, right, or I mean, it seems like a million years ago, right? But as a wee guy, I think the albums are really, really, really important because it gives you that chance to listen to the bits again and again and again. Even though your horns can't play it, it's still and again. And I think the advantage of that is I know that this is analog versus digital, so I know that in this current era, and I think this is great. And I'm going to reference the wee guys that were at the Worlds. You know what I mean? Or your junior type guys. You know, your rhythm monster type ideas where you can go online, you can see the music below you, and you can try and you can play, and nobody needs to kind of know what you're doing. It's like a wee dirty secret. You can go in the room. I mean, I'm doing that at 53. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's watching. Look at check me out, man. I'm pure licking this.
I'm part of the
band. they always wanted me. I didn't want them, right? But that what I'm saying about the album is it's mega important because people can remember like key albums that bands have released and they go, that's a great album. Do you know what I mean? Like Megantic Outlaw, you know what I mean? It's like the albums that you go up. I remember that was a good album. And I think it's important for just younger players to go, do you know what? That's where I want to be. That's what I want to be doing. This is what I want to do. And this is how I'm going to achieve it. So I would say to you, hurry up and get the album out so we can all listen to it.
Absolutely.
And we'll tell you what we think because we're armchair generals of Black. Thanks for coming, Lairdy. Cheers for that.
I think that's a great point about the youngsters. Certainly from my point of view, even today, I go to sleep listening to the Pipe Band albums under my pillow. And it's like, as a young kid, it was listening to all these bands, whether it be St. Lawrence O'Toole, Field Marshal, Boghall, Simon Fraser. Like, that's what inspires you to do it. And I think you're right, they're very, very important to keep this thing going, to keep people into it, to keep people motivated and wanting to further the art form. It's massive. And even for me, like I can't wait for it to come out. I'll be putting it on in the car every single day, going to sleep every single day. That'll be me, hooked on it.
But will it not disturb you? And you're like, that bit, no, maybe I should have.
Because that's what you've got the producer for, like, listen, see that rotten drag at the end that Andy Laird played? Get rid of that. Cut that right now. That guy's a fool.
Right. We're still to get to the producer, and you're right. We'll be going through everything and be like, right, edit that out, cut that.
Start again.
Yeah. So I was going to mention something else, right? You've been on YouTube before, right? But it wasn't to do with pipe bands.
All right, okay.
Right.
Good. This is impressive stuff, by the way, Kerr.
Penalties. Listen, we're going to tell you something, right? So penalties and chest control, right? And I didn't know anything about this. I get it. You know who sent me this, right? So the bottom line is this is we were like that. See that production of that? That's great, by the way. That's better than our production. So who done the recording of that?
We need to sign them up. We need to sign them up, Brad.
MD doesn't know. The guy's on YouTube doing football skills is a wee guy, right? But we were like that. That actually looks quite good. We're talking about the quality of the recording.
Really professional. And you as well. Like your composure as well.
That was all me. That was me as a wee guy.
No way.
Yeah, I did it all. Just phone recording and bit of editing software. That was me. Funny story is I played professional youth football. So I played with Rangers up until I was about 14. And then I moved to a team called Partick Thistle until I was 16. And I was going to sign professional with Partick Thistle. And then I got a really bad ankle injury. I tore all my ligaments and had to get surgery. And so I had to come back and I was never the same. So I ended up chucking the football completely. And it was at that moment when I decided during COVID and lockdown, I was like, right, drumming, that's what's happening. I'm going to channel all my energy into that. And that's probably why I was intense about the drumming side of things.
So, Kurt, do you mean to say that had that have not happened, you'd be probably doing pro football right now?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Have you a question for you, right? Do you get to sleep? I mean, like, genuinely, right? I mean, I'm just trying to work this out, right? So if you're playing the football, right? So you got your training, you do that, you're a bit strapped, eat the pasta, etc., etc. And then obviously, were you still obviously drumming and doing what you were meant to be doing drumming wise?
Yeah, still 2 band practices a week, playing in the grade 1 band, football. I was doing it all. And the answer is I don't sleep. I still don't sleep. I'm used to, I can't sit still. I can't watch anything. I have to be doing something all the time, whether that's sticks or football or anything like playing pipes, whatever it may be. I'm always doing something. So I've never been one to sit down. And I never sleep. I'm always thinking about something. So it's kind of just from when I've been young, I've just done a lot, like athletics and things when I was younger, won the county championships for 100 meters. Like it's always doing something.
I mean, you sound like one of us. We keep talking about our ADHD and we can't concentrate, but we've got the polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
We can't sit still, but we're rubbish at everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So
I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing wrong. Everything that you're describing, we do the opposite. We're like, can't think, what am I going to do? And then we're like, how's this not been done? How's the social media not been done?
I'm playing in a pipe band. I'm playing football 2 times a week. Wait. What's happening? What's missing here? I like a good sit down. I like a good sit down.
See, after this interview, Kerr, I'm going to go and get out my box with a drink because I'll be like, that's all you can do, Lairdy, man. Do you know what I mean? Get up, man. Just get up.
Actually, listen, something we talk about on the show, Kerr, is having great horns. I've got to switch to Scots there for that. So, in every drummer around the world, your whole pursuit is just to have great horns.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've reached that point? Do you look at your own drumming and go, "Oh, this still needs work," or
I look at myself and think I'm absolutely terrible. So
no.
For example, in the lead up to the World Solo Drumming there, I always do a 7-week strict sort of syllabus. I follow my practice plan, and I video everything. I video every practice. And the reason for doing that is I can look at myself, and I could probably only tell this about myself. I don't know if anyone else could. But the way I play in the band and my stick heights and the way I do things when I'm not thinking about it versus when I'm at the World Solo Drum and I'm totally trained, I'm a far better drummer when I'm totally trained. And like in the lead up to the World Solos, I was looking at the videos thinking, there's no point in me playing. I'm going to be last year. That is absolutely rubbish. What? So I'm nowhere near at the point of being content with one playing. Just constantly about improving myself and just thinking about every single detail, how it can become better. So no, I don't look at myself and think I'm any good at all.
I'm going to ask you a question about that, right? So, right, a lot of successful people or a lot of people that are good at a thing, they say that they suffer with imposter syndrome, right? Where they think, you know what, I'm not the person that people think I am, or they're not. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that good as what people are telling me I am, right? What do you think about sheets that you get that you think, what? That sheet I just got off that drop. What? That adjudicator. I mean, so do you know what I mean? If you, I'm not saying you second guess yourself. That's not what I'm saying, right? What I'm saying though is if you're thinking, I went on there, done enough, I think I gave a good performance, right? And we all know, well, I've always said, right, drumming's flavoursome, right? What I like, right? You might go, Lairdy, your ears are painted on, right? That's just nonsense, right? But how do you respond, or how do you take a sheet that you think, I think the guy was wrong?
No, I learned at a young age. I was bad at it at a young age. At a young age, I was like, I'm right, etc. However, I learned very quickly that's not going to work competing in the adult environment at all. So no, whenever I look at a sheet, I'll always think they're correct and they've got a point, or at least I respect it. Number one, respect's a massive thing for me. No matter who it is judging you, always have respect for them. They're there for a reason. So no, I'll always analyze the sheet. I've never had a sheet where I disagree with it, really. They've always got a point. It comes from somewhere. It's, as you said, it's all flavoursome. It's all about opinion. So no, I have total respect for it. I'll actually get in contact with the judge and try and form a relationship to say, like, how can I improve? I'm always looking to get better. So it's all about respect for me. I've never looked at a sheet and thought they're wrong as such. I'm just always looking at that extra bit of how can I do better.
And although you might respect it, listen, I'm not trying to get. This isn't clickbait, right? It's not about going. Do you know what he said? Do you know what he said in the show? By the way, I was raging and all right. It's not about that, right? It's see once right. You like you read it, and you go. You might have a point there. That buzz wasn't that clean. It was maybe a bit kind of overweighted. right, etc., etc. See, once you get the sheet, right, do you think, right, put it in the back of my mind, back of my head, or are you thinking, I'm going to go back and I'm going to revisit that bar. I'm going to revisit. Do you know what I mean? Or do you say, I accept it, back in my head, I know maybe put a wee bit of work in it. Do you know what I mean? Is it an immediate response, or is it a kind of a delayed response? That's maybe the better question.
An element of both. I'll tell you a story. So in 2017, I was in the juvenile World Solos, and I came second. And I thought I played well. Everything was great. And I wasn't happy about it. But the next day, I looked at the sheets. There was a reason, and I started practicing from that moment onwards. From the Sunday after the World Solo Drum, and it's like, right, I'm fixing that bit, and that bit. There is times where you look at it and you think, well, actually, I'm going to leave that and forget about it. I think it's a balance. It depends what it is. Depends what they've said. Whether it's fix that buzz there, well, then I probably will go and have a look at the recording and think, right, I need to fix that bit. Or it could be, I don't like the way you've done that, and you might decide, well, you know what, that's fine. I like the way I'm doing it, so I'm going to continue doing it that way. I think it's a blend of both.
All right, okay. I'm aware of the time, right? So I don't want to keep you too long. What I was going to say to you is I'm going to, after we finish, I'm going to send you a t-shirt, but it's a special t-shirt. Only guys that go on the show, right? So I've already gave Stevie Shedden one, right? And that's the only reason we've got Jason, because it was like kind of bait for Stevie Shedden. We've got an Australian guy on the show.
I can just go knock on his door, like.
Would you come on? And I had to give big Stevie Crichton, right? I got these t-shirts made up, right? And it's got guests written on the side, right? So only the guests get one, right?
Right.
And I seen Stevie Crichton, and I was like to Jason, I says, by the way, I've only got like a large size, right? But it's not got the guest on it. So he'll be watching and be like, hey, that's not a t-shirt I go. He's got a better t-shirt than me. So I'm going to have to resolve this t-shirt thing. So I'll send you a t-shirt, because obviously, as I say to Stevie Crichton, it's a charity gig. I can't give you any money for it. So thanks very much for coming on. I'd like to add as well, I notice at the competitions, right, I've seen you, and there's obviously wee drummer guys, right, that have nothing to do with your band, right, and they come up, and I've seen you kind of interact with them and say, like, how you doing and all. I know that's a massive thing, right? So without blowing smoke, right, I can remember when I was a wee guy, obviously that's never wore off on me, right? I met Alex Duffert once, right, and it was like a wee guy, and he spoke to me, right? Obviously, I never done anything with that magic talent that he shared with me. But my point is that I think that's quite important, and it must be across in a sense. I don't think necessarily I'd be a good guy. I'm not a bad guy, but you know what I mean? I don't think necessarily I'd be quite an interpersonal person. So how do you deal with it? I mean, like, you get bams like me coming up to and go, oh, all right, Kerry, you want to come on my show now? You know what I mean? How do you compartmentalise? Bam, all right, wee guy. Bam, all right, wee guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you've got it. Part of the role of being a leading drummer, or when you win titles, is all about you have to come across as being respectful towards everyone. And to be fair, there's no one that I've came across that I think's an idiot or anything like that. It's quite easy going. I'll talk to anyone. You mentioned all the wee young guys. I remember when I was their age, and it meant the world if Stephen Crichton or Stephen McWhirter or Reed Maxwell or any of these guys spoke to me. I remember going to America to Winter Storm, the solo drumming competition over there, and all these big guys were there, and I was just obsessed with, like, what are they doing? And I can imagine all these young guys are doing things like that for the guys at the very top now. So it's kind of your responsibility, I see it as, to go and try and be respectful towards everyone and make sure that everyone at least has the best chance of becoming what they want to be.
I'd never spoke to Stevie Crichton before in my life, right? So I'm like a 53-year-old kind of smelly guy. And I walked up to him. That was at the British, right? Mind you, I spoke to you at the British.
Aye.
And I spoke to Stevie, and I was like, is there any chance? I says, this is my opening gambit to him. I went, listen, I'm no mental or anything like that. And then I realised I heard that coming out my own mouth, and I went, I can't believe I've just said that to this guy. If somebody said that to me, the first thing I'd go is, this guy's a bam stick. Get him away from me, right?
Go.
All right, mate, I've got to get a pasty. I'll catch you. But it's a good thing. I totally get where you're coming from, how you're going to have to interact. And it's almost like it's like a kind of mentorship kind of idea where you've got to kind of say to people, you know, I've got to kind of encourage you, because ultimately it's good. It's good for everybody that we've got these people that care to be interested in what you do.
Exactly. And if we want to take forward the art form, then we have to get as many people motivated and wanting to do it as possible. So the more people that we can get into it, the better. And the more people at a junior level, if you can capture them at a young age that they're obsessed with it, it's what they want to do, then they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're not going to choose going to do football or whatever it may be. They're going to choose, and that's what we need.
Right, listen, I appreciate so far that you've spent this long with us, right, in our company. So all I'd like to say is thanks very much, right? Hold on a minute. Look. By the way, I meant to say, Simon Grant, if he sees this, he never get one. So I need to rectify that as well. You know what I mean?
Here it is, drum roll.
Guest.
Ooh, the guest exclusive.
Oh, look at that. Super.
It's quality, mate. Guest.
Love it.
Very few people have that. Very few people have the t-shirt in the first place, but even fewer people have the guest bit on it. So, Kerr, thanks very much. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for coming on the show, mate. Let you get back to writing your scores, mate.
Well, that's the plan. That's the plan tonight, definitely.
Good stuff.
Right, cheers, Kerr. Thanks.
Catch you, mate.
Catch.